A reading from the book of Genesis. Genesis chapter 37, verses 3 through 36. Israel loved Joseph best of all his sons, for he was the child of his old age, and he had made him a long tunic. When his brothers saw that their father loved him best of all his sons, they hated him so much that they would not even greet him. Once Joseph had a dream where he told to his brothers, "Listen to this dream I had. There we were, binding sheaves in the field, when suddenly my sheaf rose to an upright position, and your sheaves formed a ring around my sheaf and bowed down to it. Are you really going to make yourself king over us?" his brothers asked him, "or impose your rule on us?" So they hated him all the more because of his talk about his dreams. Then he had another dream, and this one too he told to his brothers. "I had another dream," he said. "This time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he also told it to his father reproved him. "What is the meaning of this dream of yours?" he asked. "Can it be that I and your mother and your brothers are to come and bow to the ground before you?" So his brothers were wrought up against him, but his father pondered the matter. One day when his brothers had gone to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem, Israel said to Joseph, "Your brothers, you know, are tending our flocks at Shechem. Get ready, I will send you to them." "I am ready," Joseph answered. "Go then," he replied. "See if all is well with your brothers and the flocks, and bring back word." So he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph reached Shechem, a man met him as he was wandering about in the fields. "What are you looking for?" the man asked him. "I am looking for my brothers," he said. "Could you please tell me where they are tending the flocks?" The man told him, "They have moved on from here. In fact, I heard them say, 'Let us go on to Dothan.'" So Joseph went after his brothers and caught up with them in Dothan. They noticed him from a distance, and before he came up to them, they plotted to kill him. They said to one another, "Here comes that master dreamer. Come on, let us kill him and throw him into one of the cisterns here. We could say that a wild beast devoured him. We shall then see what comes of his dreams." When Reuben heard this, he tried to save him from their hands, saying, "We must not take his life. Instead of shedding blood," he continued, "just throw him into that cistern there in the desert, but don't kill him outright." His purpose was to rescue him from their hands and restore him to his father. So when Joseph came up to them, they stripped him of the long tunic he had on. Then they took him and threw him into the cistern, which was empty and dry. They then sat down on their meal. Looking up, they saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Gilead, their camels laden with gum, balm, and resin to be taken down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, "What is to be gained by killing our brother and concealing his blood? Rather, let us sell him to these Ishmaelites instead of doing away with him ourselves. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh." His brothers agreed. They sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. Some Midianite traders passed by, and they pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and took him to Egypt. When Reuben went back to the cistern and saw that Joseph was not in it, he tore his clothes, and returning to his brothers, he exclaimed, "The boy is gone, and where can I turn?" They took Joseph's tunic, and after slaughtering a goat, dipped the tunic in its blood. Then they sent someone to bring the long tunic to their father with the message, "We found this. See whether it is your son's tunic or not." He recognized it and exclaimed, "My son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Joseph has been torn to pieces." Then Jacob rent his clothes, put sackcloth on his loins, and mourned his son many days. Though his sons and daughters tried to console him, he refused all consolation, saying, "No, I will go down mourning to my son in the netherworld." Thus did his father lament him. The Midianites, meanwhile, sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, a courtier of Pharaoh and his chief steward. So here we see the son of Jacob, who is also called Israel, named Joseph. He is one of the two sons of Rachel, who Jacob loved more. The other son is Benjamin, who once Joseph is gone, Jacob holds dear. So he gave his favorite son a special cloak, a special tunic. Now, most likely, this was not a very good act of parenting, to choose out one child as a clear favorite, to choose out one child as the eldest, even though he was not the eldest, just because he was the eldest of the favored wife. So then you have this thing, and then you have his dreams. So Joseph, like the Joseph of the New Testament, is or was a dreamer. That he was someone who would interpret dreams and have dreams. So he says, "I saw you all bowing before me. I saw my parents and my brothers bowing before me." He saw these dreams and he did not know what to make of them. Then we see this plot, the jealousy of his brothers, both because of the favoritism of the father and because of the dreams of Joseph himself, that they had an inadequate response to their anger. They had an inadequate response to their upsetness, which was first to kill him, then to sell him to slavery. Then you have either two stories or a very complicated story. So you have Reuben says, "Put him in the cistern, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites." Then you have Judah, who talks about selling him, and then the Midianites steal him away. And then Reuben goes back and sees that the boy is gone. So either it's a story where they sell him to one group, and there's two brothers that are pushing for that idea, but then another group steals him away, or there are just two stories that are both here, as we might find varying accounts of the creation narrative. Some people will say in Genesis chapter 1 and 2, you have different accounts of creation. They say that, well, the Israelites, the Jews, that they proposed two different accounts, that they had two accounts from their tradition, and that they honored and respected both of them. Other will say that both accounts happened, and that there's a special way to read them in order. And so either of these could be possible. But what we have is this boy sold into slavery, and the father is told that he has been killed, and they present a cloak with blood so that the father thinks that the son is dead. And yet, even in slavery, Joseph's dreams will be answered, although he does not know how, although his brothers do not know how. Now, I wanted to speak a little bit about these inter-family dynamics. That there are people in the parish who have multiple sons, who have multiple children, and these children have to make a decision. Eventually, they will have to make it. Will I have peace with my siblings? They can make this decision when they are young, they can make this decision when they are old, or they can never make this decision and have the lack of peace be a fight for them their whole lives. There are some who had peace in their families, who had peace with their brothers, but who then later turned away. Again, the challenge for us is, how can we make peace with these people that we are stuck with? How can we love someone even when they have betrayed us, even when they have lied to us? How can we ourselves either apologize or seek forgiveness? How can we ourselves be instruments of peace rather than killing our brother, rather than selling our brother into slavery, rather than lying to our parents about what we have done to our brother or our sister? That either we can choose peace today or tomorrow or the next day, or we can live our whole lives without peace. Jesus tells us, if you have come to the church to offer your sacrifice, and then you remember that you are at odds with your brother, first go and make peace with your brother, and then return and make the sacrifice. There are many of us right now who are in a position where we cannot make the sacrifice. We cannot offer at the altar. So it is a special time for us who say we want to be back. We want to be at a place where we can make this sacrifice. We want to be back where we can be in full community. We want to have peace not only in the church, but in our families. We want to be a good example for our children. And so we must make peace with our brothers and our sisters. And so for those who are in that category, this is a time to make peace. To say, look, I don't want you to get ill. I don't want you to pass away. I don't want there to be fighting between us. And so I want to make this first step. I want to say that I love you. I want to say that I want us to make peace. I know there are hurts, I know there are troubles, but I want you to know what my goal is. Peace. And I don't care if you have a goal to bring up things. I don't care if you have a goal to cause division. For me, I want peace. I want love. Eventually, we will see the brothers reconcile, and that peace is restored to the family. Let us pray that peace can come to our families as well.